What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Pots Up Podcast. We are back this week after a very disappointing performance from Inter in the Derby Della Madonnina today against Milan. It's probably at this point of the season, under Kivu, maybe the most deflated I have felt as an Inter fan, and maybe we can chalk that up to I ran a half marathon yesterday, so maybe I'm just exhausted. That could be the reason. We could maybe chalk it up to maybe it's just because I'm hungover. I drank a piss ton of beers yesterday, and I'm feeling that today. But I think ultimately what it comes down is just the continued shit performance from these guys in matches. It's not even big matches at this point anymore. Bodo, would you consider that a big club that we went into and on the road and at home shit the bed? Udinese, we've talked about these big games, big clubs that we've played and the performances where they haven't been there. But there's been a consistent lack at times, not just under Kivu, under Inzaghi, with this core of players and the core of players minus Lautaro, and we'll talk about Lautaro and his importance later. But it's ultimately for me, this game comes down to 1 minute of the match, and it comes down to one person in particular that fails to do what any professional footballer should be able to do when put in that scenario. And once that occurred and we did not take advantage of it, Milan go down literally a split minute later and go up 1-0. And that is Henrik Mkhitaryan. Now, I know sometimes I pander and talk about him, maybe in a joking, it comes off way. But the fact is, and some people probably are sick of me complaining about Mkhitaryan for the better part of 2 years now. But the fact is, this guy is not good enough to be playing for Inter anymore. And it's been that way for 2 seasons now. And when you make a beautiful run like he did, I'm not taking away the fact that he slalomed and sliced all the way through Milan. But when you are put in that position by yourself, essentially, you put yourself in that position, great run through, you're one on one with the keeper, and you put it right at his chest. Magnan didn't have to move, literally didn't have to move. You did not make the keeper work at all on a 1v1 situation. That's the difference in the match. Because it goes down the other end, Estupan puts it in the corner. There's nothing Sommer can do. Milan go up, win 1-0. And then it's Krossen and Salah the whole rest of the match. Inter has no idea what to do when we get to the final third, unless it's a cross from DiMarco. And it's been that way all season. And somehow we've managed to get now 7 points up on the rest of the league. And it's honestly, it's hard to explain how that's possible, how we've been able to get that many points. And the ultimate description or what you can point to is that Serie A is so shit that we can just power through matches and win games. That's literally what it is at this point this season. We're, despite only being 7 points up now, we're still probably going to go on and win the Scudetto. And it's the fact is we're only going to win. It's similar to Napoli's Scudetto last year. They were the best looking turd in a pile of shit, essentially. And that's what we are this season. It's a joke. And it's these players, and again, I'm going to single out Mkhitaryan. But why? I get we have injuries and stuff. But if anybody tries to defend him for this match in the comments, please comment and let me know. Articulate. Don't just say I'm wrong. Don't just say, oh, he works hard for the team. Articulate what he did today that benefited Inter. Because when it came down to the 1 minute that Inter could have won the match, Mkhitaryan failed. It's as simple as that. As simple as that. Oh, goodness, I'm so upset. I normally try and remain positive and don't let my emotions drive me. But was the match to put the nail in the coffin, to win the Scudetto. It literally would have won. I maybe would have sung today. But then we go out and put a performance like that, a performance that anybody in the world could have defended against. You could have had me. You could have had Uncle Sharma. You could have had Inter Worldwide. You could have had Nima. You could have had the four guys from Interjections. You could have had the Johnny and Ale from interviews and whoever else talks about Inter defending like Milan did, and Inter wouldn't have scored for 90 minutes. We've gone 180 minutes this year against Milan, against the likes of Pavlovic, Tomori, Gabbia, De Winter, and put up 0 goals against them. 0 goals. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable that this is the performance they give us as fans. We have to see that. And what do you expect? Midweek, we go out, people are. I was actually one of them too, so I don't want to single out anybody. Not upset with the performance midweek against Como. We just saw literally the exact same performance that we saw midweek against Como. So when you have games like that, and this is what I was saying a couple weeks ago when I was talking about the fact that we can't look at matches and be like, namely the Champions League, oh, we're not gunning for the Champions League. It's not that important. That mentality, if the players go out there with that mentality, it leaks into other matches. So they went into that match against Como with that loser mentality. They went into the matches against Bodo with that loser mentality. And then are we really surprised when it leaks into a derby like this? Like, seriously. And that's that mentality thing, like I was saying. That's what I was upset at. You have to go into every match wanting to win the match. I don't care if you're a professional player, you have to have that mentality. I don't care if you're Lecce going against Real Madrid and somehow Lecce makes it into the Champions League. Those guys on the pitch for Lecce have to go into that match thinking they can win it. That's what Bodo did against us, and look what happened. They are moving on. We go into a match against Milan that could decide the Scudetto race like losers, wanting to draw maybe, or being happy with the draw. And that's what happens. We go into a match against Como, which a two-legged affair is different. So I want to put a caveat on that. But that's what I'm saying. It can leak into other matches. I'm just so discouraged right now from this team. Let's try and react to what we saw in some of the points. It's going to be another short one. Vince, I think, is at a watch party. Dave, I think he had something to do, so I couldn't get anybody on. So you're blessed with just me this week. And before we get any further, please like, subscribe, comment. I also have stickers. Again, please DM me on Instagram or comment below, whatever, on this YouTube video, Spotify, and I can send some stickers to anybody. But yeah, starting off with the lineup. Obviously, no Lautaro. He's out, still on the bench. Thuram pulled up with a fever, so no Thuram in this match as well. No Hakan, not from the start. Still injured or still coming back from injury. No Danilo D'Ambrosio. Sorry, we needed D'Ambrosio out there. I wrote DD for Denzel Dumfries. And D'Ambrosio would have shown some heart out there. He wasn't the best player, but he at least would have gone out there and showed some grinta, some passion, some heart. And no Acerbi. So I wrote down before this, the lineup of Sommer, Bisek, Akanji, Bastoni, Luis Enrique, Barella, Zielinski, Mkhitaryan, Di Marco, Pio, Boni, without Dumfries, Hakan, Lautaro, Thuram, Acerbi, in a big match finally. Could this be a changing of the guard? Can Pio Boni show up? Zielinski, can he step up? Di Marco, is he going to be that guy we're going to continue to rely on? Bisek, Ikanji, these guys, are they going to step? Luis Enrique. We got our answer. No. At this point in time, and I don't want to be too reactive because Pio is still young, Boni is still young, but at this point in time, these guys aren't ready to carry us. Lautaro, I've said it multiple times. We are so dependent on Lautaro. We live and die by Lautaro. I've mentioned it in January when we were going through this run of form and Lautaro was scoring. He is our most important player, and it showed today. It really showed today when you look at the whole performance. Now, I mentioned earlier about the one play that really affected the outcome of the match, but if you look at the whole performance, Lautaro would have made a big difference in this match, I believe. From the very first beginning of the match, I noticed Milan was pressing high, and there was a couple times they were playing balls over the top to Bisek and Luis Enrique's side. Over the top, though, not like how I don't want to give anything away, but they were playing it over the top. We know Bisek defensively in the air, Luis Enrique in the air, not strong. So it was an interesting strategy along with that high press. I was looking to see if that was something they continued, and ultimately that is kind of the path they took to get their goal as well. Third minute, it was Jan Sommer terrible giveaway, which gave an early scare. So that's something, that was a definite mistake by Jan Sommer. Luckily, Modric didn't get the goal. It was a decent effort, but bad giveaway from Jan Sommer. There was, in about the 8th minute, Nicola Barella. I found a great ball over the top for Boni. And I don't know what Boni, I think he lost the ball, maybe tracking it in the air, but it's a really beautiful ball over the top. And Boni should have done better with his run because I think there could have been something from that. And then in a span of 5 minutes in between that and the 33rd minute, there was 2 times Mkhitaryan easily gets dispossessed. And that's foreshadowing what I'm about to talk about again. I don't want to harp on it because I talked about it at the beginning, but 33rd minute, Mkhitaryan drives through the whole team, dribbles through 3 or 4 Milan defenders really well, and then just hits it right at Magnon. Ball comes out the other way. Before the commentators can really even finish talking about how bad of a miss that chance was, Fofana finds the ball in midfield. Again, in that area we've talked about in big matches. I made the video a few months ago. There was times Hakan, his coverage, especially in the last Milan derby, the Juve game, especially if you look at Yildiz's goal. There's a gap always in between our defense and our midfield that people have found to exploit in these matches. And Fofana found that area, that space in between Mkhitaryan or Zielinski and the back line of Inter, and found a ball in between Bisek and Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique obviously caught napping, and Estupan was through on goal, 1v1, and he made no mistake about it. High in the top of the net, scored, and Inter goes down 1-0. And I haven't seen anything, but I guarantee there's going to be people calling for Jan Sommer. And it's laughable if anybody thinks Jan Sommer is culpable for that goal. It's 1v1. Ball's in the top corner. What is this guy going to do? Again, I've said this time and time again. It's such a lazy argument. You're not watching the game. And again, I'll challenge anybody to articulate in the comments. Same with Mkhitaryan. What has he done? What did he do this match? Defend him. Tell me, articulating really what Jan Sommer, the error was in this goal, if anybody thinks there was. Like I said, the analysts, nobody said anything on the Paramount coverage about it being a mistake, but I just know how us fans have been this season to Jan Sommer. That's really, Milan had 1 or 2 chances, half chances other than that one. So it's really their only big chance and they score. But again, what could Jan Sommer articulate in the comments? We can talk about it because with my eyes, my 25, 26, 27 years of soccer experience, I have no idea what else he could have football experience. Sorry, I have no idea what else Jan Sommer, what he could have done. If he makes the save there, it's a miracle save. So putting the blame on him is just glossing over the fact that Mkhitaryan literally missed a sitter 45 seconds earlier. That Luis Enrique doesn't know when a runner is running right past him. It's a joke if you blame Jan Sommer is what I'm trying to say. And then after that, the final 10 minutes, it's the story of Inter. After final 10 minutes of the first half, story of Inter in the past 2 years. We get punched in the face and have no response. Milan, the last 15, 10 minutes of the half, better team. They should have went up 2-0 maybe. And then in the second half, it's the same story. Inter, the past 18 months, cross and hope that we get. We have no idea what we're doing when we get to the final third. Zero idea. Like I said, any Inter content creator could have joined me. We could have put on a black and red shirt. We could have gone out there and done the exact same job that the Milan defense did. We could have covered Inter players. There were no runs. It was all, let's get it to DiMarco, Bastoni on the side. Doof maybe had one good one at the end, but the cross was right at Mignon. Zielinski tried a couple times maybe, but they never came off. But at least he was trying something differently. But other than that, no, nothing. Literally, me and 10 people who are going to be watching this video, we all could have went out there and defended this Inter side today. In the second half, like I said, it's much the same. There was a chance Mkhitaryan. It was another great ball by Barella. I think Barella actually had a decent match, and I was a little upset that he got subbed off. Kivu's subs today were different, but this chance, the 53rd minute, Barella played a really good ball over the top. Mkhitaryan played it in the path of Di Marco, who just kicked it over the bar. And that was really our chance. That was our only chance in the second half, it seemed like, was that chance in the 53rd minute. I noted that it seemed like we were late and lazy and just running into tackles super late with no intent, no purpose, several times. These guys don't care. I'm just getting sick and tired of some of these players. This team. Really, Lautaro, Pio, Di Marco, couple Sucic, Boni, like Akanji, he cared. He was out there. I think he had a decent game. Zielinski. But other than that, I think Barella again today, like I said, he had a decent match and obviously was out there carrying. But everybody else, like, I'm tired of watching them. Davide Fratesi, here's the subs. Sucic and Mkhitaryan. Sucic came in for Mkhitaryan. Dumfries came in for Luis Enrique in the 59th minute. I wrote that Sucic in the 5 minutes he had been on the first 5 minutes looked better than Mkhitaryan looked the entire match. Carlos Augusto and Fratesi come down for Bastoni and Barella. And then the final sub was Diouf on for Bisek. And the subs didn't inspire anything other than Sucic looked pretty good. Dumfries, nothing. Carlos Augusto, he tried. That's what we can say. But it wasn't coming off or effective. Davide Fratesi got at least 20, 25 minutes, maybe more. Let me see what he got. I think I have it pulled up. Davide Fratesi. How many minutes do we have here, Fratesi? 22 minutes. 2 touches. Touched the ball twice in 22 minutes. Why is this guy still on our team? Why is he even being called into the squad? There's Primavera players who would have touched the ball more in 22 minutes. Why is Fratesi coming into the match? Absolute ghost, ineffective. Andy Doof, 10 minutes. See how many touches? 12 touches. 6 times more touches in half the playing time. It's ridiculous. Fratesi, he gets a 6.0. This is why stats and ratings is stupid too. He gets a 6.0. You look at Jan Sommer, 5.5 on FotMob. People are going to watch this or look at these stats and say, Jan Sommer, flop of the match. He did give away that stupid pass. Not disagreeing with that. Davide Fratesi did 0, nothing, and gets a better rating than Jan Sommer. Jan Sommer at least made a save. Stats, FUT mob, XG, all this crap. Use your eyes. Kivu, use your eyes. Fratesi should not. Mkhitaryan should not. Beppe, use one of your two eyes to look at the field. Oh my goodness, I'm so upset. And we lose another match, another big match, another match to Milan. After winning 6 straight, we haven't won in like 2.5 years. And we're a joke. We're fake. We're not real contenders for anything outside of a shitty Serie A. And it's on management, a lot of it, but it's also on these players. And I've praised Kivu a lot this year. It's also on Kivu. This match, the players, they looked like they're playing against Como midweek in Coppa Italia, a meaningless match. This match meant something, and we didn't see anything from the players. So that I put on Kivu. We don't know if Çalhanoğlu is still hurt, so I can't really put a blame on the selection. But Sucic, you can't tell me he couldn't have gone out there and done better than Mkhitaryan. He would have put that chance away from the start. Sucic, great performance from Sucic. Him, like I said, I really liked Akanji. Zielinski, I thought Barella was pretty decent. Di Marco didn't have a good game. Bastoni did not have a good game. Boni did not have a good game. Clearly still injured. Sucic, Zielinski, Akanji, Barella. Those are the players that showed up today. And it's our management. This team reminds me so much of that last season under Mancini. What would that have been? 07, 08. Everyone knew what Inter needed. And that's why they fired Mancini. We would beat up on a crappy Serie A. This is right after Calciopoli. A lot of the teams were not great. The big teams were not great. Roma, no disrespect for them. I loved those Roma sides, but they weren't a big contender to how good we were as an Inter side at that time. And you can say very similarly about the contenders in Serie A this year versus what we have. But there was one thing everyone said, and it took Mourinho a year to figure it out, was we had no creativity on the pitch. We needed a number 10, someone that could break down the opposition. That's the same thing with this team. The exact same thing. And it's been that way for 2 years. We got lucky under having Inzaghi with his system that we were able to kind of mask some of that in the Scudetto run 2 years ago for the Seconda Stella. But teams in Serie A, coaches in Serie A, the tactical awareness and genius that all these coaches have, figured it out. Sit in a low block. Conceição, Igor Tudor, Allegri, Conte. All these coaches, Thiago Motta even when he was at Juve, figured it out. Now it's on management to go figure out how we can break down when teams are playing low blocks. Now it's on management. Like I said, I'm not concerned that we won't win the Scudetto yet. I think we're going to go on and win it. We're 7 points clear. You know, we have Atalanta, we have Lazio, we have Roma, Como in the league, but it's not terrible. I think Milan still have a decently difficult schedule to go out, and they pretty much have to be perfect the whole way. But in the summer, they have to figure it out. And I made a video after the Club World Cup loss, a short, in the parking lot of Bank of America Stadium, and I called for one player that would fix all of our issues, Nico Paz. You go out and get him this summer. This Inter side runs away with the league next year. We compete in Europe. You bring back Mkhitaryan for one more year. We struggle to compete. We maybe finish third in Serie A. It's stuff like that management has to figure out. We're going to end on that. There's a lot to blame, but that's all we're going to talk about. So please, guys, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Let me know down in the comments what you think. It's a disappointing day, but it is what it is. Member stickers, guys, and as always, Forza Inter.